Hello, everyone out there in Steelers Nation, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Still City Insider podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Ritz, alongside the publisher of Still City Insider, Mr. Jim Wexel. Jim, how are you this fine spring day?
I'm okay, Jeremy. I'm okay. I'm still, they told me within the next 2 weeks, I'll get my taste back. And I got this baggy thing on. You wouldn't be able to tell, but I've lost weight. I can't wait to eat again. You know, I watch Barbecue Showdown all the time. Somebody told me, hey, you look better on the second podcast than the first. That first, I don't know. So I'm hoping to look better on the third even.
I
And
would
I'm
say,
waiting for my beard. I'm waiting for my beard to grow back. You're lucky. You got a beard going, don't you?
yeah, but you know what, Jim? This doesn't compare to the beard that you've had on display in the past, and it won't be long before that thing's back in its full majesty. So,
Yeah, I'm not even gonna trim it, man. I'm Bushman next time.
hey, Santa Claus, when we do, the December
Yeah.
episodes, it can be festive.
Well, you know, when I was in college, they used to call me Moses, especially when I'd walk around at night in my robe.
Oh, it was that long ago, huh?
Yeah, that was that was one rebellious freshman year where I just grew it out. But I normally, you know, you look at my past pictures, I normally don't have a beard. My
Well,
hearing's not good. They said I lost some hearing too. But anyway, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm loving this finally getting the change of the seasons and getting some sunshine. I think I have that seasonal affective thing that's like slowly working its way out. So I'm grateful that the weather is nice. So and it's mentor trout fishing for youth this weekend. So we always take the kids out with their grandfathers. So I'm
How,
excited about that. Kids are excited.
how many kids you have?
I got three kids.
And they all play sports, right?
They all play sports. Yes, my I'm actually going to be taking my daughter to softball tonight. My youngest son plays t-ball, and then my oldest is flag football year round. So he starts his new season on Wednesday. He's been lifting and training. So
And you've told me about karate and fishing. You know, I had one kid and I could barely keep up with the car service and do my job. So you must be going crazy.
well, my wife is Superwoman. So and she often says she has four kids. So I'll let you do, figure that puzzle out there. So,
Does
but
she
no,
have to watch the podcast?
she does not have to watch the podcast, but sometimes she'll watch it and she'll be like, "You're always nodding your head and shaking your head." She's like, "Why do you do?" I'm like, "I don't know." So it's all good. But hey, Jim, we got a lot to talk about here with the Steelers. The last time that we spoke, we had Mike Prizzuto on here, and we were hoping to get some resolution at that quarterback position. It hasn't happened, but Aaron Rodgers did visit with the Steelers. When is this deal going to get done?
Well, as I wrote in my column, it was a fine first date. It went well, but you know, you can't, when you're on that first date, you can't say, "Hey, would you want to go out again?" I mean, you can. Sometimes you just do it. It goes so well, but you know, they call them Monday and then arrange a Thursday. So I expect it Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if you read Mike Florio's column. What did he call it? A source in the general vicinity of those who might know says that it's going to happen. But I mean, a source in the general vicinity of those who would know. That's
That
either the janitor or he read my column. You know,
that is vaguely specific, if I may.
but I just keep thinking, you know, when I wrote that column, things just kept coming down to me like that just clicked, that worked. And I just think it's going to work. I just think he's going to announce Friday.
Which would be good so that there's some direction at least moving forward. And it seems that there's a lot of different takes here on what Rodgers can bring to the team. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be a train wreck, that he's washed up, that there may be something left in the tank. Are you in the camp that he can bring something to this team, or do you think it's going to be more of what we saw when he was with the Jets?
Well, I mean, the Steelers played the Jets last year. The Steelers crushed them. And before the game, Tomlin had a lot of respect for Rodgers, and he's always had a lot of respect for Rodgers. Who hasn't, right? He's going to be 42 in December. How old was Tom Brady when he won a Super Bowl? I think he was in his 40s, wasn't he?
40s, yeah, he was at 42 maybe.
So I mean, it's made 40-year-olds a little bit viable again,
Hmm.
right? Kind of, as we get older and healthier, that kind of stuff gets extended. So, the Steelers were with Russ Wilson. They studied him. They know what he knows. They know what he can and can't do. And they studied Rodgers a bit. They think he can do better than Russ.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's some liabilities to his game, definitely, and you definitely have to worry about Broderick Jones playing left tackle. Eh, Everybody I talk to, though, at the combine, people I talk to, not everybody, but people I talk to at the combine were like, "So you think they're going to give Broderick Jones any help this year? Geez, they could have given Dan Moore a little help, don't you think?" And
Hmm.
I'm like, I hadn't really thought that much about that with Dan Moore.
Yeah.
So I assume these people are right. They're scouts and people, football people I was talking to. So maybe they give Broderick Jones more help.
Yeah.
Um, and they have the tight end for it. Uh, they have better receivers. I assume they're going to have a better running back. I mean, they're studying running backs in a deep draft. They may even take one in the first round, whether people like it or not. A first rounder in this draft could be a great electric runner,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a third rounder instead, but so I presume the running back will be better. The receivers will be better. The line will be better. Um, the inside linebackers will be better. Pass rushers are the same. The secondary will be better. I like Juan Thornhill, and I like Darius Slay played so well in the Super Bowl even.
Hmm.
At his age, I was really surprised when I heard he was 34.
Yeah.
And this Nichols from the Jets, there was a gnashing of teeth among Jets fans on Twitter that they let this reserve corner go. They
Hmm.
thought he was young and talented, and it's not like the Jets to make mistakes in personnel, right?
No, not at all.
So that makes you feel good about the swap of quarterbacks too. Now, as of this moment, the Steelers have not signed Aaron Rodgers. I'm talking like they have. I
Yeah.
don't mean to do that, but it seems like they've swapped quarterbacks.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I'm trying to understand is if Rodgers is the signal caller for this team next year, do they try to maybe take some of the pressure off him later in his career and have him be more of a game manager, or being that he is Aaron Rodgers, right? He's going to be probably first ballot Hall of Famer. He's put up big numbers with the DK Metcalf, assuming George Pickens sticks around. Is it going to be a big play offense where they're taking shots down the field and they're going to open it up? What do you see? Do you see it uh, either of those extremes or more in the middle?
Uh, you know, I would have to tend to, being that he's immobile, that they would take the load off him.
Hmm.
More play action if to take their deep strikes. There are stats coming out that he throws less over the middle than even Russ, which surprised me. Um, so I think it could be more of the same from last year.
Hmm.
I just think you need a better first down running back.
Yeah.
If you're going to hand the ball to the running back for the first two plays every single freaking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would hope they would mix it up. I think Arthur's going to show more. He's got to.
Right.
I have to believe there's a respect around the league for his offensive capabilities, and that we've got to see more.
Right. And if it doesn't work out with Rodgers, I think since the last time that we talked, Mason Rudolph was re-signed. So there could be that option. Rudolph could step back in there. But do you think that that would be enough? Let's say that it falls through with Rodgers. Do you think this team would be comfortable with Rudolph being their starter and then drafting a rookie, or do you think that they would still go out and try to find a veteran for this season?
Yeah, I think they would sign Russ,
Okay.
is my feeling. And if not, Mason is capable enough fallback.
Hmm.
I think too much has been made though of his last three games that one year. If you look at the Ravens game, he was back to doing Mason things, poor processing, balls on the ground. He recovered two of the balls on the ground,
Hmm.
and he lost one. And there were balls batted up in the air. The Ravens weren't playing their quarterback either. They weren't playing a lot of people that game.
Hmm.
So I think he got off with, he got a win, and there's too fond a memory of that little 3 game run. It showed that he's a capable backup, though.
Okay.
And that's what I think he is. And if he's going to be the starter, well, it may force them to draft a quarterback.
Hmm. And talking about the draft, I know the last time we talked about Jackson Dart as potential at 21. But there's been some discussion that maybe Shador Sanders falls not to 21, but low enough to where the team could trade up to get him. Is that something that you could see as a possibility, or you think that that would be too much of a sideshow here in Pittsburgh?
Not anymore. I don't see it anymore. And yes, I'd take him.
Hmm.
Yeah. If anyone could deal with sideshows, it's Tomlin. And I don't. I would have to imagine Deion Sanders is smarter than that. Plus, he has his own team, so
Hmm.
he'll be a little busy.
Right. Just a little bit.
Um, but it doesn't look like Shador is going to fall now. People I respect are coming out. I remember last fall, Max Starks went to watch Shador. He told me there was a reason, and he went to watch him closely for scouting purposes, since he was doing the game or something.
Hmm.
And I said, "Is he legit?" He goes, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." Max really liked him. No, Max isn't a scout. He could be in the future. Who knows? But way, because he's a college sideline reporter too.
Hmm.
So he was given some additional duties, and I remember he's convinced that Shador can play. But I mean, it's not just Max. All these people coming out on Twitter, these experts now, with Max Starks. So
Yeah. So Jim, just when I look at it, I definitely feel they need to draft a quarterback, and I think that they have to do it every year until they find that guy. And who's it going to be? Again, Dart is definitely a name that I'm watching. I agree with you. I don't think Sanders is going to be available when they're picking at 21, nor do I think they're going to depart with the draft capital it's going to take to move up to get him. But my dad, I give a shot. He likes Will Howard, so we'll see if maybe in the later rounds that they take him on as a project. But I do think that they need to bring someone in and to start that process, right? Because it's not an exact science to find a quarterback.
let me just touch on Will Howard, because the last time we talked about him, I didn't bring this up. It was right after the combine, and there's a lot of good things. Will Howard does a lot of things well, and we all saw that last year. But he was so bad at the combine. I mean, there was they weren't in pads, but his accuracy was so off. And maybe it was just a bad day, but I was really shocked.
Hmm.
So maybe your dad want to go back and watch that, and maybe there's an explanation for it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do know that Ibuka, am I pronouncing that right? The receiver from Ohio
Mhm.
State.
Yeah. Yep. You're asking me about pronunciations?
You froze up. Your face is frozen up. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Igbuka. I see. It's if I ask you, then I can blame you for getting
Right.
it wrong. I don't know. I should know, but because it's not that hard. But he said that when Will Howard stepped into the huddle, he alleviated any kind of tension. He was such a leader that he just exuded confidence, and everybody relaxed more when he stepped into the huddle. So I thought that was a pretty cool line about Will Howard. But after his combine performance, he may be available in like the fifth round. I mean, that might be a nice late round attempt. Now, if
Yeah.
they're going to attempt in the first round, if that's what you're talking about, take a shot every year, keep in mind that this this organization has taken the defensive tackle first
Yeah.
and then the quarterback. Joe Green first, then Terry Bradshaw, right?
Hmm.
Then Gabe Rivera. They couldn't get Dan Marino, but then they took their quarterback. Casey Hampton instead of Drew Brees. Then they got Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always had to have the defensive tackle first. And with Cam well, how old is Cam going to be? 35 now?
I think so. Yes.
With Cam getting up there and the Ravens putting up 299 against them running the ball, a defensive tackle in a deep defensive tackle draft with a lot of defensive tackles around their area of the pick makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I want to do the Jeremy Hritz plan of taking a quarterback every year. If Jackson Dart, they get him up on the whiteboard and he's brilliant and they really like him because you like his tools. And if they really think he's bright and he is the quarterback, they know. We don't know. The pundits on X, Twitter don't know.
Mhm.
But you get him and interview him, that's when you know. So that I trust them on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett still went 7-2 as a rookie.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's a total bust out now anyway. He was only, he was 20th pick overall. Things don't look good for him right now, but I mean, he wasn't that bad here.
Yeah. Yeah. And he,
But yeah, so Jackson Dart, I like Tyler Shuck still. Um and there are other quarterbacks I like for late rounds, fifth and sixth rounds. The UCLA quarterback, the Louisiana Lafayette quarterback, the Syracuse quarterback, he's a little fourth round maybe.
Mhm.
There's some quarterbacks. Everybody always says next year is the year to get quarterbacks. They
Yeah.
always say that.
Yeah.
Always. So you can't trust that. So if you like your guy this year, he's good on the whiteboard, take him.
Well, it would line up with the draft being in Pittsburgh next year. So maybe there's some grand conspiracy that, hey, we're gonna tank this year and
You know,
draft.
we talked we
Yeah.
talked about that on a podcast a long time ago.
Hmm.
We were first to say that. And now it's like, no, that's just too stupid. Come on.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
they are lining up those compensation picks, man.
They are.
And, and that looks like a plan, as you look back at the free agency, because I gave their free agency a B minus. If you're going to count DK Metcalf in there, give it a B. It's
Mhm.
okay. But Darius Slay was released. Aaron Rodgers was released. They don't count in the comp pick formula.
Mhm.
And DK Metcalf was a trade. So they've got a high third, a high fourth, and a sixth round pick, the first sixth round pick. They
Mhm.
lost a sixth round pick somehow this week, according to the guy who approximates these things, the
Okay.
over the cap guy.
Yeah.
And so maybe that was a mistake. Maybe they get their fourth back, but they got a couple nice compensation picks, and yeah, they could use that to trade up. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have quite the bounty next year to pull in a haul in the draft, which will be in Pittsburgh. And so Jim, I know when we were kind of talking ahead of time before the podcast, you'd asked me, anything that you want to ask me about what's currently going on, and just being the historian that you are, I wanted to get your take on this current. If we look at this current state of the team, and if we look at what's happening in free agency, we look at the quarterback position with just really tons of uncertainty there, and potentially adding an older veteran. Which season, if you look back, is the best comp for where we are right now? And how did that season play out? I'm just interested to get that take from you.
Man, I don't know if there's ever been a. Oh man, you put me on the spot. Right? Do you have a year in mind?
So you mentioned something about the '99 season with Kent Graham.
Well,
Uh,
that was when it looked like they would have Justin Fields and who was the wooden Indian they were looking at?
uh,
Was it Daniel Jones, maybe?
oh yeah.
I mean, that we were talking about.
Okay.
I mean that, and he came from the Giants, right?
Hmm.
Just like Kent Graham.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cordell and Kent Graham, but Justin's gone, and Daniel Jones signed with another team.
Yeah.
Um, Man, signing a really old quarterback. Bobby Lane was 31 when he retired, and they tried to get him back, but he was mad because Buddy Parker's the one that forced him into retirement. Then Buddy tried to use his buddy Ernie Stautner to talk Bobby Lane into coming back out because man, these quarterbacks, Ed Brown, that was 63, and they actually made a playoff run late in 63. They played for the division championship on the last week of the season.
Okay.
And Myron Cope wrote a famous column about how Ed Brown gave up drinking and it cost them because they were, that Steelers team with Bobby Lane and Ernie Stautner and all those guys, Tom the Bomb Tracy, they were drinkers. They were hard drinkers. Bobby Lane, he wrecked into a trolley car once out late at night drinking.
Okay.
And my dad told me the line on the game skyrocketed when people heard that Lane was drunk and wrecked into a trolley car. And the line, went against the Steelers. Everybody was betting against the Steelers, and then Bobby Lane won the game with
Yeah.
his hangover and everything.
Wow.
Um, but that I mean, getting Bobby Lane back then, I can't think of them using an old quarterback like that before. Russ Wilson last year.
Hmm.
But I don't think they're running it back like everybody wants to say. I think things have developed. Their linebackers have developed. I think they got their secondary set now. It's
Hmm.
interesting. Beanie's second year, and this kid from the Jets is gonna they're gonna vie for the nickel spot.
Hmm.
And you got two starters, and Trice as a backup is going to be healthy. You got Pierre as another backup, but I don't know. Special teams should be just as good. The punter will be back. That's an interesting look. Somebody's got to look into the punter. Let's have Teresa Varley. Let's get her on the story on the punter. She does those stories. Nobody interviews with the rest of the media now except the Steelers home interviewing base gets these interviews.
Okay.
So that would be a good one, Teresa, if you're listening.
Yeah. I'm sure she is. Everybody is. Just the cast. So 1963. So I got some reading to do tonight. So I'm intrigued. But that's that made my day. That was a little history lesson there. And I
Well, if
was
Aaron Rodgers quits drinking at the end of the year, yeah, Myron, it's a famous column Myron wrote. I don't know if it was for Sports Illustrated or Life magazine or True magazine. He wrote for the Big East, man. He
okay.
was a great writer.
Wow.
If you want to read a good book, Behind the Yoy, the new one out by Myron's daughter and Dan Joseph, really good. It's really surprised me how good it is. There's a lot of old Myron stuff that I didn't know about. A lot of old journalism, Pittsburgh journalism stuff.
Okay.
Myron wrote that famous column about his going on the wagon cost the Steelers a playoff berth. He just ripped them for stopping drinking.
I'm gonna have to check that out, and I'll have to check that book out as well. I'm a
Yeah,
big Cope fan, and
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
It's worth
those
it.
special times whenever he was still announcing. I got to catch the tail end of that when I was younger, but yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anything you want to add here before we close out, Jim?
No, I mean, before Wolf died, we were working on his book. Did I talk to you about that?
You mentioned it a little bit the last
kind
episode.
of kind of his memoirs
Hmm.
and how I was supposed to be the ghostwriter for the athlete, but this athlete could write. So
Hmm.
I just turned into an editor. It was very nice, rocking chair ride with a book. And Wolf had most of it done. And so he passed, and they had put the book off a year, saying the publishing house had put the book off a year. They had cuts. There were cuts at the organization, and they thought this book was timeless. There wasn't a reason to rush it. And we said, okay, put it off a year. And then Wolf passed, and they decided that they want to put it out this year. So Wolf's widow, Faith, she is, and man, she is so strong.
Hmm.
I've talked to people. She consoled us at the funeral, one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And the family is so strong, and there's so many cool people in the family, so many cool people I got to meet, and they're all very encouraging about the book. Uh, Guys like Mike Webster's family, his son Garrett Webster, put a cool photo of Tunch, Wolf, and Mike Webster getting off a plane in their playing days.
Oh, wow.
And Wolf, man, he got the beard, and they're all bulked up, and they look great and they look cool getting off this plane. And I reached out to him. I said, "Can we get that photo for the book?" "Oh yeah, absolutely." So everybody wants to help, and it's all up to Faith. We wouldn't do it if Faith didn't want to do it. We wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So she's the one that approached me about getting this thing back on target. So we've got some more work to do. Work is back on, and we're going to get it out next fall. So
Great.
that's
Awesome.
what's going on in my world.
Wonderful.
And I was back to the gym. You asked me how things are going. I'm in a better place because I'm into starting my second week back to the gym.
All right. Well, you look good, you sound good, and I can feel the energy from you today, Wex. And I'm sure the listeners and the viewers out there can as well. And we'll.
You're a really good liar too, Jeremy.
Hey, I have many skills. So, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Steel City Insider podcast. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you back here soon for our next episode. Jim, have a great week.
You too, Jeremy.
Take
Get
care.
to that taxi cab.
I will.
All right.
All right. See you.